Modern Family Guy. More like jerk-off Family Guy. Oh my god, this era of Family Guy has got to be some of the worst things I have ever seen in my life. In one of the most tragic negative 180s in television, the writing is downgraded from being clever and funny to completely atrocious and catastrophic, almost to the point of irredeemability. It's even worse when knowing that the writing staff behind the show is huge, with 14 writers and a multi-million-dollar budget, more specifically, $2 million, both of which are impressive for a TV series, and yet they come up with this stuff. There are also several problems with the characters, as almost all of them have been flanderized to the point that they're unlikable and hopeless, especially the Griffin family. Peter has gone from a silly deaf yet likable father who cares a lot about his family to a sociopathic idiot, a very arrogant jerk, a very selfish, childish brat, and as well as a super unlikable, malicious, idiotic, monstrous, and incredibly abusive and insensitive psychopath who causes misery to many of the people around him and rarely feels affectionate towards his family. Brian has gone from a smart-mouthed but likable voice of reason dog to a self-absorbed, pretentious, alcoholic, egotist, and occasionally atheist fundamentalist. In other words, essentially a political soapbox who tells lies to get attractive women to like him and thinks religions are for idiots. Lois has gone from a nice and compassionate wife of Peter to a short-tempered, immature, and psychotic dominatrix wannabe who sometimes abuses him, acts like she has control over her family's life, is a massive hypocrite who calls Peter out on things she's guilty of and is very loud and obnoxy. Chris went from a normal, kind, slightly dim-witted teenager who is an incredibly talented artist to a completely dim-witted, uninteresting character who's only known for just masturbating all the time, going full idiot mode, and is only used when Peter has too much screen time. Matt went from a socially awkward girl trying to make friends to her family's routinely abused personal punching bag. Steve has gone from being a genius baby bent on killing his mother and destroying the world to being a flamboyant gay stereotype. Though eventually, he got better in the later seasons, and is still liked. Quagmire has gone from a funny and somewhat perverted ladies' man to a complete pervert who is used for little more than sexual humor and has his perverted qualities exaggerated. Joe has gone from a strong and confident police officer who was a good role model to a crutch for cruel handicap jokes, an old groaner who screams way too much, and a cowardly spineless cop who lets Peter get away with everything and never arrests him for any law-breaking acts like shooting him in the eye with a BB gun and for giving his daughter a raspberry in the wrong place. Bonnie went from Joe's caring and supportive wife to see him as an inconvenience and someone to bully, cheat on Joe and kill him. While the flanderized characters are bad enough, the new characters are also horrible as well. Ida, Quagmire's transgender parent, only exists just so the writers could make transphobic jokes, such as how not once after her sex change has she been referred to as a woman. What makes this way worse is that Seth MacFarlane described her introductory episode as the most sympathetic portrayal of a transgender person, when in reality, it was sexist to LGBTs. Doug, Steve's new nemesis, is so one-dimensional that it won't take long for viewers to forget him. The show, however, continually tries to push this character as important because he is the pet of the writers. The writers also clearly lack any respect for everyone in general, like how they decided to kill off Brian just because he was hated so much, and then bring him back 2 episodes later. They also did absolutely nothing to redeem his flanderization and just kept him just as, maybe even more unlikable, yet the writers make it clear that, in a way, this is a tactic known as leverage. Although not terrible, the Flash animation is a pretty big downgrade from the hand-drawn animation, due to being rather stiff and limited overall. This switch could be from budget cuts, as the show was affected heavily by the 2007 to 2008 Writers Guild of America strike, but still. Many times the show, instead of animating something, will instead use a stock image or live-action footage. This is most notable with Conway Twitty, and also the Hudson Brothers in And Then There's Fraud, which is lazy. Most of the cutaways, speaking of, portray nothing but filler. Example, the Twitty cutaways. If you think that the LGBT jokes are bad enough, the show has been continuously making autism jokes. The most notable occurrence was in season 14 where there was an autism joke in 5 episodes, with the first 4 times being consecutive. You know, one of the main reasons it made the original 7 seasons have Family Guy beloved by fans was the fact that back when the show was hampered by network censorship restrictions, it not only controlled its amount of adult and gross-out content, yet it encouraged the writers at the time to be more creative with their comedic gags and story executions. For example, in various episodes, although the abuse, violence, deaths, cutaways, and even farting are still there, it wasn't too much since the writers managed to write other gags that are funny, and even the deaths are not too graphic since it is only for a brief time or even off screen. But since the time Family Guy is released from the network censorship restrictions as of season 8 due to its successful ratings, this resulted in the show losing its creativity in favor of the overused gross-out and raunchy humor without any network censorship interference whatsoever. The show could have been rated TV more nowadays, because despite the show's TV-14 rating, this show isn't appropriate for teens anymore due to its overused sex jokes and graphic violence. The content would fit much better for a TV rating, which is not new since some episodes have received that rating on rare occasions. It is sad that the network isn't censoring the show anymore. So in conclusion, this era destroyed the overall reputation of Family Guy, to the point where many people started to consider the show as one of the worst cartoons, and this era caused the entire show to be hated. The problems that this era has are so bad that the ratings have started to decrease fast, due to how many fans decided to quit watching the series altogether, and also due to fewer people wanting to watch it after the declining quality. Yet Fox is still airing the show to this day, due to it being considered their cash cow, despite the declining ratings. Do you know who likes this era? The 3 girls gang from US's era. Do you know who hates this era? Phantom Strider. So screw modern Family Guy, and screw Thomas and Friends. All engines go. Also screw the Fox network nowadays. The classic era of Family Guy is 1,000,000 times better than the current era of the show. All engines go, and the current status of the Fox network. End of rant. Next rant. Balancing act.